You planned your wedding, but did you plan your marriage? Couples assume love is automatic. You don't need a perfect marriage, you need a real one. Love requires investment. Most couples don't argue too much. They argue the wrong way, or not at all. Let's dive into it. The first point we have to consider here is you planned your wedding, but did you plan your marriage? Most couples don't, and it's why so many fall apart. But what if I told you that a Harvard professor, a relationship researcher, and decades of studies all agree on one thing? There is a deeper reason why relationships die, and a proven path to revive them. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Nabil. And on this podcast, we ask the questions that matter and we find the answers that help. Today, we're diving into one of the most personal and challenging topics people face, but rarely talk about openly, which is saving your marriage. Maybe your relationship feels stuck. Maybe it's filled with silent distances, constant arguments, or you're just wondering, how did we drift so far apart? In this episode, I want to walk with you as we explore how to rebuild that connection step by step. We're going to go deep not just into common advice, but into what researchers, psychologists, and real-life couples have discovered. And more importantly, I'll share actionable tools that can help you heal things, even if your partner isn't on board yet. If you've ever asked yourself, is it too late to fix this? Then this episode is for you. Let's dive into it. Let me introduce you to Lena and David. They met in college, couldn't stop talking, and they got married young, full of passion, plans, and possibilities. Fast forward 5 years, they barely speak. There is no cheating, no abuse, just silence, distance, and emptiness. So what happened to Lena and David? The same thing that happens to millions of couples. They didn't fall out of love. They stopped building love. If this sounds familiar, don't panic. You're not alone and you're not broken. Let's zoom out now and look at what the research says about why so many love stories take this turn. According to the study in the Journal of Divorce and Remarriage, one of the top causes of divorce is lack of commitment. Couples assume love is automatic, but love requires investment. It requires work, especially when life gets hard. The Association for Behavioral and Cognitive Therapies found that poor communication is a key factor in marital breakdowns. Most couples don't argue too much. They argue the wrong way, or not at all. Silence can be just as damaging as yelling. Then there is financial stress. Studies from Psych Central show that money disagreements erode trust, especially when values don't align. And yes, infidelity is a major factor. Research from Psychology Today shows that trust, once broken, takes serious effort to rebuild. But cheating isn't always the end, if both people commit to healing. And finally, unrealistic expectations. Dr. John Gottman talks about this in the 7 principles for making marriage work. Too many people expect their partner to be their everything, and that expectation creates disappointment. But behind all this research lies a deeper misunderstanding about love itself. So let's talk about the myths and the mindsets that quietly sabotage even the strongest relationships. So let's talk about love itself and why most people misunderstand it. The first point we have to consider here is passion. Passionate love, and we have to consider the compassionate love too. In the early days, love feels electric. That's called passionate love. But over time, that fades, replaced by compassionate love. In the foundation of compassionate love are friendship, shared purpose, and stability. Most people mistake this shift as the end, but it's actually the beginning of something deeper. The second point we have to consider here is marriage needs friendship. Dr. Arthur Brooks says the strongest marriages are built on friendship, not just romance. Friendship means respect, trust, shared values, and it's the foundation of long-term love. The third point we have to consider in this section is vulnerability builds intimacy. Perfection is a myth, guys. Vulnerability is real. When we open up, not just with love, but with fear, shame, and need, we create connection. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need a perfect marriage. You need a real one. Now that we understand what love actually looks like long term, it's time to get practical. Here is what you can do starting today to begin rebuilding your relationship brick by brick. The first practical solution you need to consider is to learn how to communicate the right way, because most of us don't, especially me. I'm talking about myself right now. Poor communication creates emotional distance, misunderstandings, and hurt. Real communication involves more listening than speaking. So let me give you just a tip here. Listen for emotion, not just words, and ask, why are you feel that way? Before offering a fix, validate feelings before jumping into solutions. This is the first practical solution you need to consider. The second one is create shared rituals and habits. Rituals like weekly date nights, morning check-ins, or evening walks help couples reconnect and feel secure. So, for example, you can do this 15 minutes a day. No phones, just talk, okay? Or you can just walk or sit, anything together, okay? Consistency builds trust and emotional safety. The third practical solution you need to consider is to respect and admire each other. A major relationship killer is taking each other for granted. Frequent appreciation reminds your partner they are seen, valued, and respected. So, for example, one compliment a day, no matter how small. Highlight their strengths, for example, or express gratitude and acknowledge their effort. Number 4 is really important. You need to solve financial issues as a team. Money often reflects deeper values, fears, or insecurities. Working as partners on financial goals fosters unity and trust. So for example, you have to sit down, set shared goals, budget together, and talk money regularly without shame or blame. Make financial planning a joint effort, not a battlefield. The fifth practical solution you need to consider is really, really important, guys. Learn to fight fair. I'm gonna say it again. Learn to fight fair, because most of us, we don't fight fair. We just fight for the sake of ourselves, not for the sake of our partners. So disagreements are normal, but how you handle them determines the health of your relationship. Fighting fair means attacking the issue, not the person. So for example, if you cannot fight fair, just take timeouts. Come back calm and do not use you statement. Instead, use I statements. So as if you're blaming yourself for the issue. Stay curious and do not fight to win. Fight to understand. Now we're done with number 5 practical solution. The 6th practical solution you need to consider is reconnect physically. Touch is powerful. It soothes, reassures, and builds intimacy. When physical affection fades, couples often feel neglected or undesired. So for example, you can just do hugs, touch, or cuddles. These small things rebuild big bonds. Hold hands during conflict. Give unprompted affection. All right? So this is number 6. Let's go to number 7. Number 7 is invest daily in the relationship. Great marriages aren't made from grand gestures. They're built with consistent care. Even small acts can create deep emotional impact. So for example, you can do this. Regular date nights, check-ins, because a love that's fed daily won't run dry. Text during the day or surprise notes, acts of service, these matter. So maybe you're wondering, can all this actually work? Let's circle back to Lena and David because their story didn't end in silence. So what happened to Lena and David? They realized that love isn't something you find. It's something you build. They started small. They started talking again, holding hands, going to therapy. They stopped waiting for love to fix itself. And instead, they chose to fight for it. And you can too. What's one thing you and your partner can work on starting today? Drop it in the comments below or just leave a heart if you believe love is still worth fighting for. If this episode gave you clarity, hope, or just made you feel a little more seen, please consider to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. I've included all the expert references, research, books I mentioned in the video description below. So be sure to check that out. You don't have to do this alone, and it's never too late to start again. I'm Nabil, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and love.